Welcome back to the Independent Republican Mike Graham. The situation in the Middle East now. And Israel today said it's checking claims by Hamas that a 10-month-old baby who was snatched and taken into Gaza by the terrorists was killed in an Israeli airstrike alongside his mother and brother. Hamas claims Kfir Bibas, his 30-year-old mother and 4-year-old brother were killed in an Israeli bombardment before the truce was announced. Joining me now from Tel Aviv is TalkTV's war correspondent Tom Mutch. Tom, a very good evening to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us once more. I understand that some more hostages have been released tonight, including a couple of Israeli Russians and a couple of Thais as well. But I guess the big question now is, will the ceasefire be extended? Will it go ahead as planned and end in the morning? And what news from Israel on the reported death of this family, which includes a 10-month-old baby?
So I would say that most people here want the ceasefire to go on a little bit longer to try and get as many hostages out as possible. The clause in the original ceasefire deal says that if Hamas releases 10 hostages, they'll get an extra day of truce and another 30 Palestinian prisoners released. However, it's getting very, very late here. It's almost midnight, and there's no word yet that the deal will be extended, despite pretty frantic efforts, as we understand, by both US and Qatari mediators. Now, obviously, the news that Hamas have reported of the death of Kfir Bibas and his family, that's a 10-month-old baby, the youngest hostage, who kind of become a face of the Bring Them Home movement to have the hostages released. His loss is pretty incalculable, I would say, for people here. It's really, really made people very, very sad and very, very angry, even more so than they were since October the 7th.
Yes. And the word, of course, from Hamas is not always to be trusted. I mean, they're saying that the family were killed in an Israeli airstrike. They had sort of said or hinted in the past that they weren't sure where some of the hostages were. This family, they say, was given to a sort of an offshoot group of the PLO. I think it's the People's Front for the Liberation of Palestine or something like that. Is anybody buying that excuse?
Well, this is the thing. It seems that Hamas may have had actually less overall control of the Gaza Strip than people realized. And it may be that it had to do some hostage trading or some dealings for reasons of its own internal politics inside Gaza. Now, I don't think anybody here, let alone outside, has a really good window into that. It's not impossible that they did give them to another faction, and that faction just took them to somewhere that wasn't as well protected. And then again, it could just simply be an excuse. It's a really good excuse for Hamas to say, look, there needs to be less bombing because you're killing your own people. Ultimately, without an independent investigation on the ground, we're almost certainly never going to know the full story.
No. And in terms of the timing of the ceasefire being coming to an end, I suppose I should say. I mean, there's not many hours left, as you say. How does it normally work? Do they sit up all night in Qatar? Do they try and find a resolution in some way?
Yeah, so effectively that's normally what happens, although normally it's been announced a few hours earlier than we are now. So I think people are worried that it is not going to stick an extra day. As I said last night, the IDF are really rearing to go. They really want to do what they can to go into South Gaza and clear the rest of Hamas out. However, as they even admitted to me, that could cause an even greater humanitarian catastrophe than is already going on. So everyone has the sense that there could really be some even darker days ahead.
Absolutely. Tom, great to speak to you. Thank you once again. Reporting in from Tel Aviv there, Tom Mutch, TalkTV's war correspondent.